The Silent Invasion. The year was 2387, and Earth had known peace for 60 years. The Great Alliance Treaty had ended the last interstellar conflict, leaving humanity to explore the stars in relative harmony. Trade routes flourished between human colonies and alien worlds. Children grew up learning about dozens of friendly alien species in school. War seemed like an ancient memory, something their grandparents might whisper about in hushed tones. Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the observation deck of Terra Station, Earth's primary orbital defense platform. At 55, she had spent most of her career managing peaceful diplomatic missions and trade disputes. Her weathered hands clasped behind her back as she watched cargo ships drift lazily between Earth and Mars. The sight always calmed her. This was what they had fought for, what previous generations had died for. A universe where humans and aliens could coexist. But peace never lasts forever. The first alarm came at 3:47 hours, piercing the quiet morning shift like a knife. Chen's personal communicator buzzed urgently. "Admiral, you need to see this," came the voice of Lieutenant Marcus Webb, her youngest and brightest tactical officer. "Long-range sensors are picking up something big." Chen made her way quickly to the command center, her military training keeping her movements sharp despite decades of peaceful service. The massive holographic display showed the outer edge of the solar system, where their deepest space sensors monitored for incoming traffic. What she saw made her blood freeze. 800 ships. Massive, sleek vessels unlike anything in the known databases. They moved in perfect formation, their dark hulls reflecting no light. No human or allied design had ever achieved such size or obvious technological advancement. Each ship stretched over 2 kilometers in length, their surfaces smooth and unmarked by any visible weapons or communication arrays. "Origin?" Chen asked, though she already knew the answer would frighten her. "Unknown, Admiral." They appeared simultaneously across a 15 light-minute span. No warp signatures, no quantum displacement readings. They just materialized. Chen studied the formation. The ships moved with purpose, their course aimed directly at Earth's solar system. But something felt wrong about their approach. Speed. 0.7 light speed, but they're decelerating. Current projections show arrival at Earth orbit in 14 hours. Have they responded to our hails? Webb shook his head. "We've transmitted on every known frequency, in every major galactic language. Nothing. They're not jamming us, Admiral. They're just not responding." Chen felt a chill that had nothing to do with the station's temperature. In 60 years of peace, no unknown force had ever approached Earth with such obvious intent. The ship's formation spoke of military precision, but their lack of visible weapons created an unsettling mystery. Alert status yellow. Begin evacuation protocols for major population centers. I want our defense fleet mobilized but positioned defensively. No aggressive postures until we know what we're dealing with. Over the next 12 hours, Earth's military awakened from its long peacetime sleep. Ships that had been mothballed for decades were hastily brought online. Soldiers who had spent years training for conflicts that never came suddenly found themselves preparing for something unimaginable. The alien fleet continued its approach, maintaining perfect silence. Earth's best linguists and xenobiologists worked frantically to establish communication. Religious leaders held prayer vigils. News networks broadcast continuous coverage, their anchors struggling to maintain calm while reporting on humanity's potential first contact with a hostile alien force in over half a century. Chen hadn't slept in 26 hours when the breakthrough came. "Admiral, we're receiving something," Webb announced, his voice tight with exhaustion and tension. "It's not a standard communication protocol. The signal is embedded in quantum fluctuations around their ships." The message, when finally decoded, consisted of only 7 words in perfect ancient Earth English. "The debt must be paid in full." Chen stared at the translation, her mind racing. Debt? What debt? Run a complete historical search. Cross-reference any significant interactions between Earth and unknown alien species. While her team searched through decades of records, the alien fleet reached the outer planets. They passed Jupiter without slowing, their formation unchanged. Whatever they wanted, it was on Earth itself. Then, at exactly 1500 hours on the second day, something impossible happened. The entire fleet vanished. Chen understood now. The Zephyrians hadn't vanished. They had simply shifted to their quantum state. They were still there, still waiting, still watching. The silent approach, the lack of weapons, the cryptic message about debt. It had all been a test to see if humanity had evolved beyond their ancestors' tendency to hide from their mistakes. Send a message on all frequencies, Chen ordered. Full spectrum, including quantum channels. Tell them we found the archives. Tell them we know what we did. The response came immediately, not as a radio transmission, but as direct quantum communication that every human on Earth could somehow understand. You remember, this is the first step toward wisdom. Space around Terra Station shimmered, and the Zephyrian fleet became visible again. But now Chen could see them clearly. The ships weren't weapons of war. They were Orcs, preservation vessels carrying the entire surviving Zephyrian civilization in quantum storage. A new voice came through the quantum link, ancient and patient. I am High Keeper HFY, last of the old world, first of the new. We did not come for vengeance, children of Earth. We came to offer you the chance to prove that consciousness can grow beyond its origins. Chen felt the weight of history on her shoulders, but also something else. Hope. What do you need from us? What your ancestors took cannot be returned. Zephyros Prime exists now only in memory. But consciousness endures, and worlds can be born again. We have preserved our entire civilization in quantum matrices, waiting for the day when we might find partners wise enough to help us rebuild. The proposal was staggering. Earth's most advanced terraforming technology, combined with Zephyrian quantum science, could create a new homeworld. Not a replacement for what was lost, but something new, something that honored both species' knowledge and growth. Chen looked around at her team, seeing hope replacing fear in their eyes. We'll do it, not because we have to, but because it's right. Then you understand the greatest truth, HFY responded. Strength is not in hiding from the past, but in building a better future from its lessons. Over the following months, the Zephyrian Human Restoration Project became the largest cooperative undertaking in galactic history. Human engineering combined with Zephyrian quantum manipulation created technologies neither species could have developed alone. The new world they built together, New Zephyros, became a symbol of what was possible when civilizations chose growth over guilt, cooperation over conflict. Admiral Chen stood on New Zephyros' first completed city, watching human children play alongside young Zephyrians who had chosen to take physical form. The quantum beings had taught humanity that existence wasn't limited to matter and energy. Consciousness itself could evolve, could choose to be better than its origins. Earth's darkest secret had become its greatest triumph. The species that had once hidden from their mistakes had learned to face them, to grow from them, and to build something beautiful from the ashes of old regrets. As Chen watched the sunset paint the sky in colors that existed nowhere else in the universe, she understood what the Zephyrians had really given humanity. Not forgiveness, but something far more valuable. The chance to forgive themselves by earning it through action. The debt had been paid, not in suffering, but in the courage to be better than they had been before. And in that payment, both species had found something neither could have achieved alone. Hope for a future where past mistakes became the foundation for present wisdom. The silent judges had spoken their verdict. Humanity was worthy not because they were perfect, but because they could grow. And in a universe full of species afraid to face their own shadows, that growth had made them something precious indeed, partners in the greatest project of all, becoming better than they were yesterday. Not destroyed, not departed, vanished. One moment, 800 massive warships filled the space between Mars and Earth. The next moment, space was empty. No explosion, no energy discharge, no debris. The ships simply ceased to exist as if they had never been there at all. Chen stared at the empty tactical display, her mind struggling to process what she was seeing. Sensor malfunction. Negative. Admiral. All systems show normal operation. The fleet was there. Now it's not. But we are detecting some unusual energy residue at their last known positions. What kind of residue? Unknown quantum signatures. Something we've never seen before. The readings are strange. It's like the space itself remembers they were there. Before Chen could respond, every communication system on Terra Station began broadcasting simultaneously. The signal came from Luna, from an ancient installation that had been dormant for over 2 centuries. Earth's first deep space monitoring station, built during humanity's early expansion into the solar system, was suddenly alive with activity. The message came in a language that predated any known alien contact, yet somehow every human who heard it understood its meaning. The children of Earth have forgotten their greatest sin. The Zephyrians return not for war, but for justice. What was destroyed in ignorance must be restored in wisdom. The choice remains: remember and rebuild, or forget and fall. Chen felt the weight of those words settle on her shoulders like a physical burden. Somewhere in Earth's past lay a secret so terrible that an entire alien civilization had spent decades, maybe centuries, preparing their response. The vanished fleet hadn't been an invasion force. They had been judges. As alarms continued to sound throughout Terra Station, Shen realized that humanity's greatest test wasn't approaching from the stars. It was rising from their own forgotten history, and the reckoning had only just begun. The reckoning. Admiral Chen stood in the deepest archives beneath Geneva, surrounded by data cores that hadn't been accessed in over 2 centuries. The Luna Beacon's message had triggered something in Earth's oldest defense protocols, unsealing records that had been classified at the highest levels. What she found there would change everything humanity thought they knew about themselves. Project Genesis, she read aloud from the ancient holographic display. Initiated 2156. Classified beyond top secret. Authorization required from Earth Council Chairman personally. Dr. Elena Vasquez, Earth's leading xenorchaeologist, worked beside her, carefully extracting data from quantum storage units that were older than most space stations. Admiral, you need to see this. The project wasn't a weapon. It was an experiment. The files revealed humanity's darkest chapter. In 2156, Earth's scientists had developed an experimental faster-than-light drive using controlled quantum tears in spacetime. The first test was conducted in what they believed was empty space, far from any inhabited systems. The drive worked perfectly, opening a stable wormhole that could have revolutionized space travel. But the space wasn't empty. The Zephyrian system contained a thriving civilization of 12 billion beings. Their homeworld, Zephyros Prime, existed partially in normal space and partially in quantum dimensions that human sensors couldn't detect. When Earth's experimental drive tore open spacetime, it created a cascade reaction that collapsed the quantum layers supporting their world. Chen read the casualty reports with growing horror. 12 billion Zephyrians died instantly as their planet was torn apart at the subatomic level. The survivors, scattered across space colonies and distant outposts, numbered less than 50 million. This can't be real, Chen whispered. Earth would never cover up something this massive. Dr. Vasquez pulled up another file. The cover-up was immediate and complete. Earth's government relocated all Zephyrian survivors to distant colonies, provided them with resources, and then erased every record of the interaction. They even altered stellar charts to hide the location of the destroyed system. The truth was staggering. Humanity's first contact with the Zephyrians hadn't been diplomatic or hostile. It had been catastrophic. An entire civilization had been accidentally destroyed by human scientific ambition, and Earth's leaders had chosen to hide their mistake rather than face responsibility. But that was over 200 years ago, Chen said. Why now? Why come back now? The answer came from the final file in the Project Genesis archive. The Zephyrians were not a typical biological species. They existed as a hybrid of matter and energy, capable of transitioning between physical and quantum states. The few million survivors had spent the past centuries evolving, learning to exist purely as conscious energy while maintaining their cultural identity and memories.